How to translate cases for the BerlinCaseViewer app. Hello, my name is Kai Hermann. I'm a radiologist from Berlin, and I'm also the project lead of the BerlinCaseViewer app. Today, I'm gonna show you how to translate cases for our app, and it's really easy. So let's get started. Here you can see our app, and this is the version that runs on my Mac. Here we see 3 cases, and as you know, all of our cases, they have beautiful medical images included, but they also have text like the medical history and clinical findings, but also we have multiple choice questions in these cases. And we even have colored overlays, and these overlays, they also have an explanatory text or a label. So all these texts need to be translated. And this is really easy to do. So let's check it out. When we ask you to translate a case, usually you have already registered for our database. Then you will receive translation links, and I will show you how to use these. Okay, here you see a demo email with some links to certain cases and to certain questions. You can see there are some links that they are directing to the to the case translation interface, and some links to the question translation interface. So if you click on this link, a new tab will start, and first you need to log in if you are not logged in already, and then you can start translating. You see a mini view of the case on the left side of the page, so you can look at the case and look at the images in order to understand what you're translating, so you can look at the case. Then you have the English original text in the center column, and you have the text fields for the translation on the right side. We recommend using a very large monitor in order to show the full width of the form. If you don't have a large monitor, you can still scroll to the side in order to see the text, because the mini view of the case is an optional feature. Okay, so here we have already entered some Chinese translation, but we are now going to translate Italian. You will see that for a language that the case was not yet translated, we have this button here, the Start Translation of the Language button. And I will explain why you need to press this button first. So here we see there are the English fields, and there is no corresponding Italian field over here. So after pressing this button, these fields will be created and text can be entered. You can press this button as often as you like, because no text will be deleted by clicking on this button. Okay, so when you translate, sometimes it's already, the text is already quite okay. So if you, for instance, want to enter the text, you can enter the text here. I don't know, introduzione. I don't know if that is correct, but I think it might be okay. So you can enter the text, but of course you can also copy the text over to this field. So this is if that is especially useful if there is like a technical term like T1 or T2 that would be the same in English and in Italian. Then you can copy this text over with this button. But most of the time, I guess you will use the copy to clipboard button, which is this button. So we recommend using this button, copying it to the clipboard, and then using an translation interface. So there are 2 types of translation interfaces available. We like to use DeepL, which is a new service having excellent results for translation. And some people also like to use Google Translate, which has its strengths, especially in the Asian languages. For today, we will use the DeepL service. So we enter the text from the clipboard here with Command V or Control V on the Windows machine. You can also use the context menu to insert the text. And then you select your language, which is now Italian. And then you see the text. Usually you have some copy button in the DeepL interface. This is the copy to clipboard button, but also in the Google Translate interface, it's more or less the same button. And then you copy this text here, go back to the translation interface with the app switcher, and then you enter this text from the clipboard. If there are empty text fields, you do not need to invent text. That's okay. So here we see again that the headline of this, so you can see where it is. We see here this is the headline of this text. So we copy it to the clipboard. We copy it to the translation interface. We get some preliminary Italian translation. But maybe you're, as an Italian, not happy with the translation, so you can get alternative options and can edit these texts. When you're happy, you copy it to the clipboard and enter it into our interface. Okay, the same you can do with longer text, and some text fields you can also do like formatting, as you see here with the bullet points. So it's easy to use, and there are some fields that are more or less simple fields. For instance, here you would copy over all the letters from the English text to the Italian text, because these texts are needed for the overlay display that we have here in this image. These are the letters. Okay. So basically you go through this form from top to down. So this is the entire case, all text in one form. For instance, here we have the overlays of the synovitis in rheumatoid arthritis. That's this. So we have here like synovitis and erosion. And if you want to copy it, you copy it over and enter the word for Italian, and then you enter it into this field, and etc. So that is what you do. When you're ready, you just close this window. Everything is stored, and then you can start with the next link, which is now a question. So if you start with the question translation, again, we have these empty fields. We have the English question over here, so we can start the translation of Italian. We get the empty text fields, and then we can start copying in the Italian text. Okay, so how it is working. Here you see cases in our app. So this is a case with scleroderma. We see here the English text, the medical history. We can also appreciate the images. There's a question associated with this case. You can answer it and get an explanation. And after you've done it, you can get explanation in the images and get some text over here. And you can do the same with this case in all the other languages. Here we have now the German version. If we go into the same case, we see now the medical history in German. And if we access the case a third time, we can even see that we have now the Chinese translation of the case, even the Chinese version of that question, and we have the Chinese labels available in this case. So I hope you find this interface as easy to use as I do, and I'm really happy that you are considering becoming a translator of our cases. So thank you very much for your work, and we are going to create awesome cases in your native language. Thank you and bye-bye.